September 21st, 2016. Somewhere in western Egypt, an Egyptian military aircraft flies over the desert. A few minutes later, bombs are dropped over civilians. A summary execution, carried out with the help of the French government. Disclose has obtained hundreds of classified documents from the highest sources in the state. Reports from the French presidency, from the Military Intelligence Directorate, and from the Ministry of Defense. This unprecedented leak sheds light on a secret and ongoing intelligence operation in Egypt. Its codename, Sirli. Its mission, monitoring the western Egyptian desert all the way to the Libyan border. Begun in 2016 with the objective of countering terrorism, this military cooperation will in fact allow for the bombing of hundreds of civilians. The French presidency has been repeatedly notified of these state crimes. July 3rd, 2013. The Egyptian government is overthrown by General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Despite witnessing a bloody wave of repression against the Egyptian people, France becomes General Sisi's unwavering ally. Officially, in the name of the war on terror.
Les relations entre la France et l'Égypte sont fondées sur des intérêts communs. C'est la lutte contre le terrorisme et c'est la sécurité.
This alliance lives on under the presidency of Emmanuel Macron.
Le combat commun contre le terrorisme qui nous a sévèrement frappés au cours de ces dernières années est au cœur de cette relation bilatérale.
But behind this facade lies another ambition: to sell weapons to the Egyptian regime, even if this could make France complicit in crimes against humanity. West of the Nile River, the desert extends over 700,000 square kilometers, an area as large as France. Famous for its oases, the region is also a well-known corridor for Libyan smugglers. Here, young locals run cigarettes, gas, perfume, drugs, or firearms through the border. Sometimes, these smugglers use their cell phones to film their trips across the desert. On social media, these videos are watched thousands of times. Since 2014, the Egyptian regime has considered these smugglers a threat, to be neutralized by any means. But the western desert is too vast to be controlled. To achieve a more complete monitoring capacity over the area, al-Sisi asks his French ally to provide him with military support. Officially, the operation is presented as an answer to an Islamist threat from Libya. The French President François Hollande agrees and places the operation under the Military Intelligence Directorate, the DRM. 4 soldiers, 6 civilians, and 1 surveillance aircraft are sent to Egypt. Operation Sirli starts on February 13, 2016. The French military operates in secret from the base of Marsa Matruh, 570 kilometers west of Cairo. During the whole operation, the plane used by the DRM is parked in front of a shed. Here it is, photographed by a team member of Operation Sirli. The model is a Merlin 3, an aircraft designed to intercept communications and monitor movements on the ground. In flight, it carries 4 French nationals, 2 pilots and 2 analysts, and 1 Egyptian officer to listen in on phone calls intercepted in real time. September 21st, 2016. The aircraft is operating in this area, south of the Siwa oasis. By the end of the morning, French soldiers spot a few vehicles. They share the vehicle's position with their French colleagues back at the base, who then pass on the intelligence to the Egyptian Air Force. At 11:07 AM, an Egyptian military aircraft appears without warning. The model is a Cessna 208. It carries 2 missiles under its wings. 43 minutes later, the French army flies over the area again. This time its monitoring screen shows a vehicle on fire. The next day, a DRM agent warns his superiors. The strike was most probably carried out by the Egyptian army's Cessna 208. He adds, "The presence of the armed Cessna is proof that the Egyptian Air Force wishes to use shared intelligence for repressive purposes against local smugglers." In the following days, El-Sisi's regime announces that 8 pickup trucks and their passengers, all civilians suspected of smuggling, have been destroyed. By passing on their location to the regime, the French government has made itself an accomplice of a summary execution. This complicity is established in accordance with Resolution 5683 of the United Nations. According to the leaked documents, France could be involved in as many as 19 bombings against civilians. Considering that hundreds of strikes were carried out with the help of the French intelligence services during that time, this number could be grossly underestimated. December 2nd, 2016. 10 months after the start of their mission, French soldiers warn their commanding officers that their operation isn't delivering results in the war against terror. Most of the time, searching for activity means locating smugglers' pickups to neutralize or destroy. A second warning is sent on the 6th of January 2017. The terrorist situation has never been mentioned. 7th of May 2017. Emmanuel Macron is elected president. A few days later, on the 30th of May, he reaches out to President Al-Sisi on the phone. The French president is fully aware of the covert operation, as indicated in this report from his office. The next day, the Army Chief of Staff, placed under Emmanuel Macron's direct command, receives a detailed report on Operation Sirli. In this report, the director of the DRM confirms that the pickups intercepted in the desert are in no way connected to terrorist groups. The smuggling routes are most likely linked to basic professional Bedouin smuggling. The head of the DRM also highlights the Egyptian army's ranking of priorities: trafficking, immigration, and only third on the list, terrorism. 23rd of November 2017. The Army's Chief of Staff receives another warning, this time from the Air Force. The lack of surveillance equipment means that the pickups can't be identified. The resulting strikes should be subject to caution. In other words, the Army is worried about its intelligence being used against civilians. 27th of January 2019. Emmanuel Macron is in Cairo. The DRM uses that opportunity to urge the French government to stop the misuse of its resources. We have established cases of destruction of targets by Egypt, which have been identified by French aircraft. It is important to remind the partner that the aircraft is not a targeting tool. Yet another warning, but supporting Al-Sisi's regime remains paramount for the French government. In December of 2020, Emmanuel Macron even awarded Al-Sisi the Légion d'honneur, France's most prestigious civil award. 4 months after that ceremony, Egypt acquired 30 French fighter jets for more than €4 billion. According to our investigation, Operation Sirli is still ongoing.